So, since my phone is capable of taking decent looking 4K video, I thought I'd just show you and I was pretty sucky at showing, at taking pursuit images, although I took some. I thought I'd just try showing you the trailing on video. So, yeah, here I go. Focus here. And pursue the UFO. And the creaking noises you're hearing are coming from my chair. I think I'm capturing it pretty nicely. That is the UFOs. Because yeah, the main thing here to look out for is that those white dots on the UFO, you can actually separate them. I mean, you can see them being separated. I think they really nailed the overdrive on this monitor, and props to Dell, props to Alienware. I'm used to hearing people praise Dell monitors, and now I can see why, because this TM panel, this 240Hz TM panel just looks great. Has great colors, great contrast, good blacks, and even though it's the FreeSync version, not the G-Sync one, and the G-Sync versions of the 240Hz monitors are usually the ones which have good overdrive and as a result low motion blur, even on non-strobed modes. By the way, this monitor isn't even capable of strobing, so even though this monitor is the FreeSync version, the motion blur on it is really minimal. It's like the least I saw on a 240Hz display. I saw the images that were taken from the Asus PG258Q, I think that's the name of it, and this one is even better than that. So yeah, this is 240Hz non-strobed, and the UFOs are so clear and the trailing is so minimal, as you can see. I'm really impressed by the monitor. So, let me turn this into a review actually. I thought I'd record this separately and then piece it into the video, but since I've started recording, now I'm at it, let me show you the, let me exit out from this because it makes me nervous. Let me see some really nice Dissidia characters. By the way, here's a tip. If you have a 1080p monitor and you want a wallpaper for it, search for 1440p or 4K wallpapers. They'll look a lot smoother when you use them as your background, as opposed to 1080p pictures, which won't look great at all for some reason. So yeah, let's move on to the OSD. Here are the buttons, which are shaped pretty goofily. Here's the power button with the LED indicator in the front. And you can notice when I press on the base of the monitor, even though I'm applying a pretty hefty amount of force with my finger, I mean, if I apply the same amount of force to the keyboard, it moves away. And I'm applying the same amount of force to the monitor, and it doesn't move at all. The stand is really sturdy. I like it a lot. So before I show you the OSD, I'll just give you a physical tour of the monitor. It looks really great, in my opinion. But unfortunately I'm gonna send it back anyway. Even though I really love it, I realized that I need 27 inches after fiddling around with the XF270HA. So, let me show you the inputs. Yeah, by the way, let me show you how much far down it goes. It goes down like that, and it tilts, and it goes up like that. By the way, the stand can really get in your way. This is how the monitor would look if I'd align it at the default position. Yeah, it would look something like this. But if I turn it to face me, like this, then I don't have much space left for my QCK heavy. So I have to turn it like this, and then turn the panel itself towards me, so that I could use my mouse closer to the monitor. Which is a G403. But let's focus on the monitor. Here, there's the HDMI input I'm using, there's the power socket, and there's some more inputs there. A DisplayPort input, and left from that is the second HDMI input, and there's an upstream USB connector type B, and there's two downstream USB type A connectors which you can use, and even here below the monitor there's an audio jack and two USB ports. I believe the audio jack gets the signal from the HDMI cable. There's a pass-through, so you can use a headphone with this. And so, as I showed you earlier, the reverse ghosting or overshoot is really minimal. Yeah, and the UFOs look really clear for a non-strobed monitor. Really clear. I'm fine with this amount of motion blur. I mean, the lower the better, but for 240 Hz, I'm fine with it. So yeah. I'd only expect even less motion blur if we'd go even higher, like 480. But for a 240 Hz monitor, and seeing images, pursuit images from the competition, I'm really fine with how this Alienware performs, because I think it's the best I've ever seen yet. So, when you press one of the Osd buttons, it displays this information here, and then the model number. These are custom keys. You can set them up yourself, or even this one. These four are custom, and then this four is just the menu in which you can set the custom keys and do a whole lot more. So you can select those what those four keys do here. These are self-explanatory, so I won't go into explaining those. You can Google what these do, but basically this turns on and off controlling the monitor via software, which I left off because I don't control it, and I'm assuming if I turn it off, I can potentially maybe reduce the strain on the internals of the monitor. I'm not too sure, but since I don't use it, I just turn it off. That's my policy with all the things. because it tends to help to turn off things that you don't actually use on your PC, whether it be a software or a hardware. And I think the same applies to anything, not just PCs, but monitors as well. Well, I assume this inside this is a little PC, because an ARM processor probably. Whatever, I digress. Language English, timer, whatnot. Audio, yeah, display. So here's where things get interesting. You've got 4 options. Wide, 16:9, auto resize. These are self-explanatory, I think. But let's try 4:3 on 1080p. Yeah, it squeezes the image into 4:3 aspect ratio. So yeah, you can select color format. You can adjust the sharpness just like on the BenQ monitors, but on this one the highest setting, or it's much less overkill. And when I crank up the sharpness to the maximum, that pretty much equals 7 on my XL2411z, and there's nothing higher than that, but you don't really need it. I have it on 70% even on this monitor. I can't really justify the white outlines around text when going to anything higher. I like my image sharp as it can get. Sometimes I even turn off anti-aliasing because it makes the image too blurry for my taste. But even though I'm like that, 70 is enough for me. So you can select an input source, pretty self-explanatory, and set the brightness and the contrast. Again, I don't think there's many things to explain here. So preset modes. One thing I like about this monitor is that you can switch around the presets, and the monitor doesn't just go black and then return like it does on the BenQ, which is pretty annoying, and it takes much more time to switch between presets than on this monitor. So you can select presets, and it's a fast process selecting a different preset. Gaming cons mode just had some gimmicky features, like a frame rate counter, which actually doesn't even count the frame rate, it counts the refresh rate. And timer for sleeping or turning off the monitor, I don't know, gimmicky features really. Response time, now this is your overdrive setting. Dark stabilizer, let me get over with the boring stuff. Dark stabilizer is the same thing as on the BenQ, or should I say almost the same thing. The dark stabilizer on this monitor doesn't just increase the gamma where it's needed to be increased in order for you to be able to eliminate basically shadows and shades so that you can see into shadowy and dark places. No, it also adds, I don't know if you can catch it on the camera, but it also adds a really a grainy effect, which really throws me off. So I'm not using it, even though I use black stabilizer on the BenQ, because it doesn't add this well, let me show you on this icon. Let me crank up the brightness. Well, I don't think it even needs to be cranked up, honestly. Let me show it to you on one of the icons. Okay, I think this way I'll be able to show it. So yeah, it's showing on the screen, thankfully. This is with the dark stabilizer turned off, and this is it with it turned on. Do you notice these dark outlines? Well, this isn't just on camera, this happens in game also, and with everything on the screen. It adds contrast which really fucks up everything. It ruins the whole image. You could gain a competitive advantage from this, but I found it to be too distracting in-game for it to be helpful. You can see between the green and red area what I'm talking about. If I disable it, it goes away. If I set it even on the first stage, it appears. And it's there on all 3 stages of the stabilizer. It's just makes the image even brighter. Let me move on to the response time section. So if you're really into the dark stabilizer or black stabilizer feature on the BenQ, if you have a BenQ monitor, just be aware that on this monitor it won't be the same. So normal is just overdrive disabled. Fast is what I'm using, and super fast is a setting that intensifies the corona around the moving UFOs, but doesn't really make the UFOs themselves appear any cleaner. So there's not much benefit to using it. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. So this is with, you see, this is a pretty handy response time. It gets displayed, your overdrive setting gets displayed when you just press any Osd button. So let me show you super fast. Focus here and let me pursue the UFOs. Okay, focus. Focus, come on. Yeah, well, let me pursue it. You can see how intense the artifacts got. There's a blue trailing behind the UFOs, as you can see. And when I set it back to just fast, then the trailing gets a lot less intense. It's just faint white trailing instead of the heavy blue trailing that it was before. So hopefully my pursuit was good enough for you to pick that up with your eyes watching the video. And let me show you how it looks without any overdrive. Damn! Even without any overdrive it doesn't look half bad. Just realized that. Look at it. Look at that. It's really, the UFOs are really clear on this monitor, even though it doesn't have any strobing and it's not even using overdrive anymore since I turned it off. Man, am I impressed. It's really nice. I mean, I will experiment with this. Now I'm kind of I'm not hesitant about sending it back because I do need a 27-inch monitor, I realize that, but I'm not sure whether I'll be able to find this good 27-inch monitor, because this has great colors and, as you can see, minimal amount of motion blur, given that it's using sample and hold and not strobing or anything like that. Man, I'm really impressed. So a couple of other things to address with this monitor. Input lag between the Acer, the BenQ and this one, no contest. This feels the most responsive. Those two are actually on par with each other, but maybe that's because the XF270HA has frame skipping, and that's why it feels only as responsive as the XL2411z. this definitely feels more responsive. This feels like aimbot sometimes when I play CS. This just made me jump in my seats when I first tried it in that match. It just made me scream like I was screaming, I'm back, I'm back, I'm back, because it's just so good. But I really want 27 inches of this goodness. Well, let me show you the timings. Downloads, CRU. So, extension blocks. What is this? Yeah, extension blocks. Oh, let me show you this as well. This, whatever. Let's just edit the extensions blocks and show you this. Yeah. So these are the default timings if anyone's interested. And there's no frame skipping or anything like that with this monitor. I really dig this monitor. It's the cheapest one. It's just 300 euros in my country. To be more correct, let me show you, this is insane. I think it's on par with the most expensive monitors, and even better. I mean, I don't have any numbers to back this claim up, but I think it's on par in regards to input lag and smoothness with the most expensive 240Hz monitors like the BenQ XL2540 or 46, and it's a lot cheaper. And I don't need, I don't even need G-Sync or FreeSync, even though this one has it. I don't need anything, I just need 240Hz and low motion blur at non-strobe modes. And this monitor provides it all, and even good colors and contrast. And not just for a TN, generally good colors and contrast, even though I use IPS screens sometimes in work, and this one's not that much worse. Yeah, it is worse, but not that much. So, what is this? Alienware. What is this? AV25. Yeah, there it is. There's the FreeSync version and there's the G-Sync version. And really, yeah. Not just one shop, but 4 shops right off the bat. This is countless shops are selling it for around 300 euros, which is a steal for this monitor if you're fine with just 25.5 inches. It's 24.5 inches, I mean, it's a steal. It's a steal. It's ridiculous how good this is for that money. I bought the BenQ originally for more. I bought the BenQ for 330 euros back in 2015, and this is a lot better monitor in every respect in regards to looks, sturdiness, physical stuff, motion blur, responsiveness, colors, everything. It's just better. Here's the box of it. Yeah, and one last thing to add, because I wrote a list and I'm just remembering what I wrote down. The one last thing to add is that some monitors, like the Acer, have a buzzing noise which comes from this area around the power light, but it's not the power light because it's not that. Even when the power light turns off momentarily, when you change a setting on that monitor, I can't remember which setting you change, when the power light turns off as well, the buzzing noise doesn't stop. So yeah, this one has no coil one. Let me hear it again. This, well, I put my ear here on top of it. I can hear a really tiny amount, but even in it, that silent room which I'm in right now, you're only able to hear it if you put your ear close to the monitor. If you sit like half a meter away from it, or something along that lines, which I'm doing right now, or even if I'm facing the monitor from 30 centimeters away, I can't hear it, and I have a relatively good hearing. So yeah, I don't think what else I could say about this monitor. If I missed anything, just hit me up, post a comment below this video, and I'll try to answer it as soon as possible.